Welcome to the U-Turn podcast. My friend, this is Ashley Stahl. I'm your host, and you are in the right place if you're ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you're so proud of. And every single week, we want to support you by bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all here on the show to elevate your success in business and also in life so that you can leave a legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities you're creating for yourself in your career, whether you're corporate or you're a business owner. And if you are new here, again, my name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international bestselling author of the book U-Turn, Get Unstuck, Discover Your Direction, Design Your Dream Career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and I was so inspired to create Wise Whisper and help clients craft their signature talk. We've helped hundreds of clients craft their talk, and we've also helped so many of them land spots on some of the biggest stages in the world, including the TED and TEDx stage. And so I am here on a mission to help every changemaker I know impact millions. Also, before we get into this episode, shout out to our friend Andy B. Mackin, the artist that has gifted us this sick new music for the podcast. Let's get into this week's episode. All right, U-Turn friends, you know I always bring my friends on the show because I know how smart they are and I pick them so carefully. Danielle Sabrina, not an exception. She's the founder of Society22 PR, but who she is so much more than her PR firm. And yet, pretty much every PR referral I would ever have, I would send to her. She just really knows how to get people seen in the media. And obviously, with the work that I'm doing with speaking and TED Talks and all the other things that I'm helping my clients with at Wise Whisper, it's all about people being seen. And I know that that brings up a lot for a lot of people, but let me tell you, Danielle's journey to get here was not what you think. Like, she did not start out at an agency doing PR as an assistant. Like, she has quite a story. So today we're going to talk about how to be seen. We're going to talk about starting a business, and we're going to give you some tips to like get real traction. Every time I talk to Danielle, I get new lead gen ideas, new things I could do. So she's just so capable, you know? So Danielle, welcome to the U-Turn podcast. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Ashley. You know, I'm a big fan of you
Yeah.
and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's always so nice to have a friend that I haven't seen in a minute, even though it's only been like 2 weeks since I've seen you.
It's too long. 2 weeks is too
Yeah,
long.
too long. Okay, I kind of want to start wherever you're willing to start because I feel like different chapters of your life are such a freaking trip. Take me back as far as you can go to where you had your career and things started to change and you started to become who you actually are.
Absolutely. So even before that, like in high school and like adolescence, I was always just like in a lot of trouble because I just wasn't doing what I needed to be doing. So it could be something as simple as like, I'm failing at some of my grades or I'm getting kicked off my cheerleading team because I'm failing in school. It was always something. I was just like, just kind of did whatever I wanted to do. And then my freshman year of high school, I ended up getting pregnant and I dropped out. And when I had my daughter, I was like, it really started to sink in. And I'm from New Hampshire. So it's also like, it's not like I'm surrounded by people or opportunities everywhere. And it kind of settled in that, like, I was like, oh my God, like, I can't even provide a life for myself, even with two people, even though I was with her dad at the time. Like, I was just like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, how do you even survive? So fast forward, I have after I got pregnant with my second daughter, because I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with the first one, so she needs someone. Because this is going to be, I already knew going into it, I was like, this is going to be hell for my kids because I just have absolutely no idea. I'm like barely turning 18, and now that I'm 19 and I have two babies. So can't find a job. I really can't get any type of career anywhere. My only experience was retail. I worked at Kids Foot Locker. And so I started calling Fidelity Investments, like, because they had this branch near me in New Hampshire. And I called and called and called until finally one day the receptionist like passed along my resume. Because this was back when like the resumes first started to become like electronics. So like if you didn't have a degree or something, like it wouldn't even get through to HR to get
Mm.
you an opportunity. And my bar was like, let me just get in the mailroom.
Yeah.
Like I'll work myself up to mailroom supervisor. Like, like I was like, let me just get my foot in the door, get benefits, something. But lo and behold, I got an opportunity to take my Series 7, which at the time was the third hardest exam in the United States.
That's a financial exam, correct?
Yeah, it's so you can trade stocks.
Okay.
That changed my life because I was in the day I took my test, the people who I was in the group with, a couple of them had graduated, one Harvard and I think the other one Brown. And when we came out, I had passed and they didn't pass the exam.
Wow.
So I was like, done. Nobody is ever going to tell me anything about who I can be. Like, I just like that set me into a new
Well, you
stratosphere.
didn't study finance, right? Like before in
I
school.
was in high
Checked
school
out.
dropout. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even
What
study
did you do to
period.
study? Like, how did you prepare for this? This is my favorite is people who put their little shingle in the ground and they're like, I'm just doing this because it's so weird how society has all these structures. I get that the idea that like structures support you doing things, but it's so weird because sometimes I feel like it gets out of hand and we have way too many structures to support people in becoming someone and we don't need them. And people buy into them for their own safety, for their own mindset. Okay, so pretty much everybody left and didn't pass, but you did. What did you do to study?
I was just like relentless. I think I just didn't give up on it. And every waking hour, like I would work from my shift started at like 5:30 in the morning. I think I got out at like 2:30. I would like pick my kids up and I would study for like 4 to 6 hours a night. And I
Wow.
would just do the test over and over and just try to memorize everything.
Wow.
Um, because I was just like, it's this or nothing.
hmm I look back at that like younger version of myself and I'm like, dang, like the part of me that moved to DC and got like a bunch of job offers and it's you're getting older. I'm like, I don't have the same energy, but I don't want to believe that, But I'm like,
Right.
damn, like you work a job like that, you pick up your kids and then you study for 4 hours. Like I've got brain fog. Like what do we do?
I couldn't imagine doing that now.
Yeah.
Thank God I was a teen mom.
Right? Oh my gosh, Teen Moms. I think about that because isn't it so wild that MTV had like the Teen Mom show? Have I told you my thought about this? Because it
So
used to be like shamed. People would be like, oh, poor teen moms, like these 16-year-olds with kids on the show, and they would like have this judgmental lens on them. But now I look back and I'm like, the teen moms were the real entrepreneurs. Those women were the hustlers. They
they
had
were.
babies young, they had a full caseload, they were trying to make money part-time.
Yep.
Like they were saving money at their parents' house. Like, what is the disrespect to the teen moms? These are hustlers.
I like don't hate on the teen moms.
Yeah, like what? Okay, so you passed the exam and then you got a job on Wall Street, right? Yeah. Okay. And what was that like for you? Like, were you like, this is who I'm going to become? Or what was happening in your head when you were that?
That I was like achieving it, that I was achieving like that. Like, oh, if I have this, if my life looks at like this, then I'm successful. So, like, if I have a big house, I have a nice car, I can take my kids on vacation, they can wear nice clothes, like all these obviously like very material things. I'm married, like then that would be like I did it. But I felt like there came a point in time where I was just like, I'm giving every piece of my soul to everything and everyone. And like, I just felt like I was dying inside. So it's like there wasn't every new level, every new promotion, every new dollar amount I made. It was like good for a moment, but it wasn't like connected. It wasn't connecting because I just found myself just miserable. I kind of found myself not wanting to work for other people because I remember like I would always hit my goals really fast and then it would be almost too fast for the organization. And everyone was like, oh, well, we didn't expect to get there so soon. Or, like you would think it would be like, yeah, let's keep going. But, you think like that many years ago, which I think I mean, at least 20 something years ago, like scaling wasn't a thing. Like companies didn't scale. It was just like you have your business and that's what you have and you grow it slow and steady, which is there's beauty in that too, but it wasn't this mentality of like scaling or hyper growth, like really just wasn't there because it was just after like the internet boom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too, because I imagine it's like you subscribe to that whole life. And this is the U-turn podcast. Like people always tell me, like, you know how to pivot unlike anybody else. I love it. I live for beginnings and ends. Like I find them very inspiring.
Scorpio. Our sign
Yeah,
is
yeah,
next for like
like
rebirth.
yeah, like a little rebirth. What would you say was your breakthrough moment that sent you on the path of like your next level, best, better self, more aligned self? And let's talk about why PR, because I know you had some moments with PR in your career that kind of put you on the map in a different way. Can we help people kind of see how that can help advance their goals?
Yeah. And there was like, just to give a little bit of context before I tell this story, is like there was like a period where I was getting divorced. I had lost everything. I really had nothing. And I was like ready to, I would had like checked myself into like a mental health facility because I was like so unstable. And it was then because my older daughter got bullied really bad in school. Like this older boy had like beat her up, knocked her teeth out. She was unconscious. And it was that moment that I was like,
When you think about businesses growing their sales beyond forecasts, you probably think about a product with very high demand, a very focused brand, and influence-driven marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Shopify is home to the number one checkout on the planet, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout brands like Mattel and Heinz use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/U-turn, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/U-turn to upgrade your selling today. Again, that's shopify.com/U-turn.
no more. Like, get me out of here. Let me go take care of her. And then through that fight of like trying to get her justice was I was working with the media. It became a viral campaign. It wasn't my intention to create a campaign. I didn't even know PR then. Like I just was doing what was like my instinct because obviously feeling so powerless, my instinct was like trying to get justice because the school had tried to cover this up and they had known about it. And there was just like a lot of things that I was like, this isn't okay. In hindsight, I probably would have handled it differently because I think it was like traumatic for her. So if anyone's listening, like I'm aware of that. Like, I'm aware of that. But like it's interesting though, because that was my first and it came so natural. Like I knew how to set up like exclusive interviews. I knew if I gave this
So
news to
the
the
first
channel.
time you did PR for yourself was when your daughter was bullied in school and the school was covering it up.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I didn't realize what I was doing was PR. Like I had absolutely, it was just, I just knew instinctively, like if I give an exclusive to this station, then I'll be able to get this station. And if I get both of these stations, and I know like the more national stations are going to pick it up. And like it did, like Dr. Phil wanted to have us on. It was like this huge thing, like even Lifetime, like one was interested in doing a movie on it. Like it became a huge thing.
Yeah.
But like in looking back on that, like I don't, like I was doing like crisis communication. It just came super naturally. Like so that set me on a whole nother trajectory. Like once was like, I was like, I'm heal or die, basically. I was like, I have got to heal the shit that is causing me to like, that caused me to miss what was happening with my daughter, that
Mm.
caused me to like have no money, live in like an apartment where I'm walking outside and there's heroin needles and there's like gunshots outside. Like that's where I was living. So I went from living in this beautiful house that growing up, my mom and I would drive around the neighborhood and we would be like, imagine what it would be like if we lived there. Imagine, like what our lives would be like. And like I bought one of those houses and then now I have nothing. So I'm like, I have got to, like, I'm not building again on such a shitty foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you did all this PR. What happened next? And how, before we even get into, well, let's talk about what happened next and then how can people start to do some of their own PR for themselves? Obviously, not everybody can jump into a firm like Society 22 with what you're doing. So the people who can't, I want to give them some tips to start building their brand. But yeah, talk to me about what happened from that PR.
So that's how obviously like the healing journey, but what happened through that was I just started to share my like what we call thought leadership. It wasn't like I was like, oh, let me share my thought leadership. I was like, wow, I'm actually learning things that are really helpful and I think that they'll help other people. And they weren't these like groundbreaking things. They were just like little micro things that it was like kind of like, you and I have talked about like an aha moment, we realize. And through sharing those, I started to gain a following. And it
Mm.
just happened. It was like back when Facebook was like a thing, like it just happened organically. And Ariana Huffington had found like the stuff that I was posting, and then I got to write for Huffington Post.
Mm.
Then founders were seeing that and they were like, tell me how to do this. Like I have similar stories. I want to share my stories.
Mhm.
So I think when it comes to building your brand in the media, like what I see people do a lot of times is like they try to sell,
Mhm.
like sell what they're doing, sell their service, sell their like, so everything's about this product or service. And like we forget that like it's about the story and who you are. And like who you are has a huge part into why you're doing what you're doing. So even if you're taking something as like kind of like like let's say you're an accountant, like there's a story to like maybe your life that connects you to why you're so good with numbers, or like why is it that you can just like see things. And those stories are like what the media is interested in. They're not interested in just like, oh, this is my firm, this is what I do.
Yeah, and people really lead with that. One thing that I see a lot of is like emails of people pitching me that are too long. Like, and they
Mm.
feel so copy pasted that I'm like, oh, I don't need to be, I'm just on a blast. Like, I don't feel inspired, even though it has to be a blast. Like, if you're a big PR firm, you're blasting. How does somebody write a good pitch? Like, I love that you pointed out there's more depth. It's not just like, my name is Ashley and I'm the founder of Wise Whisper Speaking Agency. It's, I'm Ashley, I run a speaking agency, and my first job in middle school was being the star in a play. I've always like been like a speaker, a communicator. It's like telling stories. How do people start to think about their story, and how do they start to talk? Like maybe it's like an elevator pitch or a pitch, like something in writing.
Yeah, think about like if you're pitching someone, like look at what they're writing about already. So you can't just like pitch anyone an entrepreneur and be like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like really see the style of the person who's writing those articles. And like you're gonna find a theme.
Yeah.
And on like a more like formal level, it's called like a beat. But like you're gonna see like a theme for like how they story tell, and
Yeah.
have an opinion about that and kind of share, like you're saying, like, oh, hey, like I was always the star in the plays. Like, here's how that translates. And here's some tips that I can share with you that I have been doing since I was 12 years old and starring in my school play or whatever that is. And like, this will help you. Like, just be a resource
Hmm.
to reporters and journalists and producers. Like, be the best resource possible so that they can keep you in mind too for other things that they're working on that you have no idea about. But you're not selling them your services. And that's where people need to really like back up. You're not selling them. They'll ask you additional information about your company if they want to know, but like you're there to be a resource and provide interesting story ideas, interesting angles. A fun tip that I have is like think if you're pitching, like let's say it's the news, think about a news anchor saying, up next, we have blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
your story pitch.
Hmm. So what would be an example of one?
Up next, we have why your pet might be overheating and 5 tips to
Yeah. Five
five
tips to
signs that
hydration.
your pet is overheating, even though, something like that. And maybe it's a veterinary office or something, but like that's the kind of like you want to make it fun. Like, what is a news anchor going to say? And honestly, that would translate really well to a written article too.
So for me, as like a speaking agency, and I'm the founder, and I wanted PR, I would be like, up next, we have Ashley from Wise Whisper on how to help your, like what would it be like? How to like tips to own the room, or how would you position it?
I might position it because you got to think about like especially like with the news or something, like it's a general audience. So I might even position it to like, from Wise Whisper, like 5 tips on like presenting at your next meeting or how to get that next like job or, something where it's like, and then it's talking about like just tips for how do you land that next job? And even though that's not like, you're doing TED Talks, like it will translate.
Yeah. 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 I know you have some clients where their business has doubled, tripled, quadrupled because of PR. And it's not always because the leads found them. Like, it's not like the TV interview created more leads. It's that the credibility and the images created trust, right? Like, so their conversion rate on their sales go up because they are more legit in the media.
Yeah, it's both. I mean, I had a new tech company that had no trust and credibility really. And we did a campaign for them. And almost immediately, the product manager of Walmart found them. And then that tech stack ended up in Walmart, which was huge. And anybody who knows how to like sell enterprise technology knows that's like a mega. We've had products being found and then they're in stores.
Mm.
We've had, I just got a Slack message the other day because that's where we communicate with our clients. And it was a message from somebody who had like a prospect for them and they were like, PS, I read blah, blah, blah article. Definitely feel like I need to talk to you.
Hmm.
So you got to think like everyone's a consumer at the end of the day. And if they're thinking about maybe working with someone, they're gonna poke around and they want to get to know you a little bit. It just makes the conversion easier. And that's how you can be found too. Like you have to think about all the people out there that are actively searching for the exact thing you do. And if you're not able to be found online, like that's a ton of leads that are like ready to buy. And
Yeah.
as you know, we're in like knee deep in sales stuff. And it's like there's no better lead than a lead that is actively searching for what you want.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally.
Right? It's not like, oh, wait, just maybe let me check this out. But it's the one who's like, I
Yeah.
want PR, here's my budget, this is what it is. But my whole agency survived I mean, we just made the Inc. 5000 list this year, and like we
Ooh.
don't run ads.
Yeah.
It has come from my years of PR, and I still have my own PR campaign for myself. I don't ask my clients to do anything I'm not doing for myself.
And that's got to build a lot of trust. You're an Inc. 5000 company. People feel a little more a sense of trust to work with you. Okay, so when it comes to lead gen, I personally like I've watched like Good Day Baltimore and I've seen like a guest on there. And I always think like, are people really writing down or taking note of the guest on there? Like and contacting them, like, oh, this PhD, I'm gonna get therapy from them or whatever. Like, what is the recipe to like PR that does translate into a good lead? Like, what are some of your clients doing that you think does it? And I know that that starts with a good pitch. Like, you're not going to get any PR unless your pitch is good. So maybe that's where we start is like somebody right now has no PR. They have a side hustle or they're corporate and they're like, I want to build a little brand. The future feels uncertain. I feel like
Mhm.
weird waters, I'm so insulated and so are you. We both are like so insulated in our little hustles of what we do, but everybody in the workforce is telling me like it's crazy out there. So, how do they start to differentiate themselves and build a brand? And if there's anything I've learned, it's that if you don't build your brand, people are going to build it for you. Like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like somebody else can register your Yelp profile and start putting reviews up about your business or you. So, it serves you to like be louder than anybody else that could possibly find you. So yeah, talk to me about just like pitch, like how do you write a pitch? And then how do people figure out where to pitch? Do you know what I mean?
I think about your goals. Like I think having a personal brand is so important right now, even if you are working somewhere, like you're going to get paid more, you're going to get better jobs. Like if you start to become known as the person who is like the go-to for exactly what you do. I mean, it could be HR, it could be like change management, it could be it could be super niche in whatever role it is, project management. But if you're sharing tips all the time and think about yourself as a product before you're even pitching, think of yourself as a product. Like, are you like a beautiful looking product? And if not, like, do you need to go polish up your social media profiles? Maybe you need to like work with a graphic designer and have them like just create some nice images. I mean, there's Canva at this point. Like everything's pre-created for you. You can just choose it and just like polish up what it looks like. Maybe invest a little bit of money into a really nice photo shoot that where you can display who you are in a way that feels elevated and isn't just like your typical headshot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of people are not really registering the power of somebody Googling you. And the percentage of recruiters that are hiring and doing that right before. How long should a pitch be, and does it differ if you're trying to get into a magazine or into TV? And how do you open up your pitch?
So if it's like a magazine, you can usually find their editorial calendars online. They're not like hidden. So you can look at the pitch theme, I mean the editorial themes and tailor your pitch around that theme. So every publication usually has an editorial calendar because they give it to their advertisers. So see what the themes are. Like it could be like this month is innovation, this month is like um something in the workplace. So you're going to want to tailor your pitches around that because all of
Far
the
out.
editors.
Like, what if the theme for is innovation in like 6 months? Is now the time to pitch for that, or how do you
If
navigate
it's print, yeah, you want to be pitching. If it's
like a
print,
printed magazine, like 5 or 6 months out?
yeah, like because there's still like print is still alive. It's still great to get into like Inc, Forbes,
Yeah,
Entrepreneur.
yeah.
But yeah, you want to be like because they lock those stories in. So they are pitching their higher editorial team of like, okay, we think this for the pit. Like the writers need time.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, anytime you can tailor your pitch to a current event, that's almost like a shoe in. If
Mm,
there's some way you can tie it, if there's some way that you can comment, and there's so many ways you can do that. I mean, there's like earnings reports for publicly traded companies that you could like just be talking to. It could be like a Spotify earnings report, and you can be like, hey, here's how we're using music in our workplace, or here's how, like you can literally like the angles and stuff that you can find are like pretty broad that you could tie it to a current event.
mm. And like, I find that sometimes like when I think about hooks that have worked on me, and I would love your thinking on this for my podcast, especially because usually I have so many friends in LA at least that I bring on that I almost never need guests. And so it takes a lot for me to get a pitch and say, I'm going to trust that this person's going to be interesting and I don't know them. And one pitch I'll never forget because I just got so many was it was just like a one-liner and it was like everybody says that relationships fail because of communication, but they don't. The reason relationships fail is because, and I like had to click and like read the rest of it. This looks like I froze. Um, and so that I was like, well, why do relationships fail? Like everybody has
Yeah,
relationships.
let
I
me
don't want them to fail. And I remember the answer was that relationships fail because of tit for tat, like partners who keep score. And she was talking about like an episode on resentment. And I was like, oh, everybody has experienced resentment. Like, let's do an episode about that. So it felt very niche. It felt really interesting. And it was also a short pitch. I remember it was like a couple of paragraphs. Too many of these pitches feel like my grandpa at a mixer with one too many alcoholic beverages leaning in for a long story. And I'm like, oh no, like, oh no, so can you talk to me a little bit about, yeah, like just how to be effective, like how to think about a hook?
I think it takes a lot of self-reflecting, to be honest. Like, you really have to be like, what are my unique point of views? Like, that person obviously had a unique point of view on like relationships fail because of tit for tat. Like, and at the end of the day, that's communication too. But like, drilled it down, or he drilled it down even more so. So it's like really thinking about what does that mean and like what are my unique takes on something that could be. And like, you'll usually find a good hook in that.
Mm,
You can
mm,
think of like what is the opposite of this, or
yeah,
what, like what, like how do I just like describe my problem?
yeah, yeah. And also like I see some influencers and they're doing great. And I'm not like a social media expert. Like all I know is speaking and keynotes and, but I have some influencer friends that I love, but some of their hooks, they feel so like, God, I wish I could remember one. It feels so like clickbait that it almost like breaks the rapport with, for at least for me, like I'm like, man, if I didn't like you so much, I would be so eye rolling this post. And me and my candor, I'll text them and be like, this post was an eye roll, but you got a lot of traction. Like, well done. Like, um, me and my honesty, but her post was something about like the lie I told my husband. And it was that she invested in an online course. And like, that's, um, some,
Yeah, like be careful of the hooks. Like have something to say because if you don't, like you are gonna break rapport and it's just like it's giving just like, oh, you're trying to you're it's really what it's saying is like, I'm not able to sell to you organically and I have to try to manipulate you into buying.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like you haven't done enough to nurture your community. When I start seeing stuff like that, I'm like, okay, you're just trying, it's like you're trying to squeeze the last little bit of juice out of like whatever you just launched. And I think that comes back to strategy because sometimes that makes me feel like, did you have like a successful launch kind of like creating that like I mean, we're like that's what we do is create perception. But like
Right.
if you don't have the if it's not impactful and someone took your course or they took something and like it wasn't as great as like you were trying to hype it up to be, you can't squeeze more out of that.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck in this weird cycle that you're constantly just selling to the same like group of 10 people or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think at the end of the day, like social media in the world of brand has become very challenging because number one, your livelihood is tied to likes and follows and engagement. Like you've literally built an entire career on what other people think of you and if they're into you. And it's created this like very performative personality culture. I have this friend in New York I was telling you about, the one I haven't gotten together with lately, but she has like a famous Insta friend. And like all of our friends have like Instagrams, but this one's like pretty famous in New York. Great girl, super nice. And I went on a cabin trip with them for one of their birthdays. I don't know this one that's the big IG personality, but personally outside of this friend that is her close friend and my close friend. And at the cabin, she was like performing in her comedy voice the whole time in conversations with me. I didn't even know who she was. And I literally shared a bed with her for 3 nights because we were assigned the same room. And I remember thinking, man, she's really nice. She seems like she's got a good heart. Like, but where is she in there? Like, I couldn't even get a conversation going. She would interrupt and start doing like a shtick. And it felt like, damn, social media really got her. And you know what? I can't blame her. She was cleaning toilets 6 years ago. And
Right.
social media like made her career. And she's great at what she's doing. But it also made me think like you kind of lose yourself in this thing. So with these pitches, I think it's the same, especially as like a PR firm. It's probably, if you have a client that's taking longer to get traction, it's like so tempting to like spray more shit out there and not think so strategically because we only have so much cognitive power, right? Like we get mentally tired. Obviously, we have ChatGPT, but it's not ChatGPT me, like I need to think. So, um, let's say there's somebody listening right now and they are like a VP of sales or like
Mhm.
a VP of marketing or a VP of like innovation or something, and they've never done one piece of PR. What's their first move right now?
I would love to see if they're at like a VP level. I'd love to see them start like a Substack. I'd love to see them like start sharing tips and resources and just thoughts and perspectives online so that they could be like, okay, where is this going to land? And then I mean, if they are a VP of sales, like you want to be in front of your clients. So
Yeah.
look at where they are. You know, if that's in TechCrunch, then figure out a way to get into TechCrunch.
So it's like look at where people that have a brand you want are being published. And then I know that there's different editorial and publishing guidelines. So can you talk a little bit about like, I don't know, I'm like you. This is why we're friends. All of us girls are like the same but different. Like I remember when I started my career coaching business like 15 years ago or something. I don't even know how many years ago. It was like 13, 14 years ago. There's like no coaches out there, and I had like a weird cartoon that didn't even look at me as like me on my website of me allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, like I like think I bought it on like Fiverr, or like somebody made a cartoon of me and
I
it just
love it.
I don't even know what I was thinking, but point being, I remember thinking it doesn't matter if I make money this year. It matters that I get media. And I started posting blog posts on LinkedIn, which I loved because they got traction. I didn't have to get approval from anybody. And then I started being able to show the ones that performed well to other media outlets. And that's what got me in at Forbes. That's what got me in
Yeah.
at Inc. So, like, let's say they start with looking at where their competitors are being published.
Yeah.
Um, what, and then obviously you said like sweep the decks of your brand. Like if you have a weird picture of yourself drinking in Cabo in 1982, like find a way to delete it, or whatever. Like click the view as button on your Facebook to make sure the view as version of you is not weird. Um, what else would be like their hook? Like 5 tips, you were saying like look at editorial calendars. Um, but like, is there like a template or a boilerplate, like the reason why you're not this, or some sort of like, I don't know, for TED Talks, like with the titles, my clients who come in and whether we're crafting keynotes and booking them on random stages or a TED Talk, um, they always count on me for titles. And I just have a thought of like how simple they are, right? So for you, like if somebody just walked away with a hook in a box, what would be like a sentence or a template that you would say, this is how you can open up an email?
I don't know if I have a template, but what I have my team do is, and we do this every so often, is like go buy the print magazines and look at what is on the cover of them. And I say to like get the actual public, because even just scrolling on the news sites, like you're not going to get like the true sometimes like headlines that are on the print publications. Look at what those are and figure out how, because they're all hooks. If you look at like Grab a Cosmo or something, like they're all like 5 secrets,
Yeah.
and then plug your like, unassuming skill set in there.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like, oh, like you could be like 5 sexy secrets to like a resume that keeps them hot, or, like
Yeah.
something kind of like something clever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. And in the body of a pitch email, what are some crucial things that people need to remember? Because when I was doing it, like I remember the year I started my business, I'm like, I don't care if I make money, I just need to be seen. That year I got on the cover of Wall Street Journal. I like, it wasn't like positioning me in the best. That's a different thing. Like getting it and then being positioned right. It positioned me as like a girl who couldn't find her dream job and somehow now she's a career coach. It wasn't horrible. I mean, the comment section was brutal. I remember getting my first piece of PR. I went to Alyssa's house. You know my friend Alyssa,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like I went to Alyssa's house and I remember I was like, I'm gonna crack. She's like, so crack. And I remember opening up the article on wallstreetjournal.com and people were like, oh, we all know how she got that like promotion at the Pentagon, like making all these jokes of how I got really far and so young, like Monica Lewinsky level, like it was just like it was like a shame thread of like, oh, this young girl. And to be honest, Danielle, I kind of look back and I'm like, who was I at 24 to think I could like had any life? Like, but a lot of I put out there was good. So respect, I guess, like who am I not to? And um okay, so I love like the 5 secrets. Like, what about a headline, like the subject line for an email?
The subject line can either be something like catchy still, or it could be like very clear, like, hey, additional thoughts on your last piece,
Okay.
if that's what it is. And like, that's another great way to chime in. Like, if you see someone write something and it's like miss the mark a little bit, especially if you're like a subject matter expert, you could just be like, hey, I wanted to follow up with you. Here's some like more thoughts, and I want to explain this context more because I think like you just need additional information on it. And that's another great way to like open up the conversation and potentially get you featured. And I
Wow.
will say with like what happened with you with Wall Street Journal, like that's very common when someone's about to kind of take off.
Yeah.
I actually talked about that in my TED Talk, or I don't know if it made it in it, but I was like, you go through different stages. And the first stage is like nobody really says like anything. And then people are just like kind of making mean comments like, who do you think you are? Or like, oh, we
Oh
know how
yeah,
she.
you do talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's dead silence. You hear
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And then you get fans. I've
Yeah.
seen this happen so many times. Like I'm always like when it happens with my clients, I'm like, it's okay, don't worry. Like, because it is at the end of the day, like that whole saying, like any PR is good PR, it kind of fits into that category. Like no one with a
Yeah.
brain is gonna be like, they're gonna be like, okay, you're clearly hating on this poor girl who like, I'm sorry, you can't sleep your way into the Pentagon like that.
No.
Like you can't
No.
like
Not to my knowledge. I didn't know anybody there. There's not a lot of women in there, so
Well, and just doing what you did with intelligence, like you have to be at a certain caliber to even like
yeah.
digest the information that they're giving you. So it doesn't really matter like what
Yeah.
you're like you it's like kind of like the series 7, like it's like you pass or you fail. Like you can't like sleep your way to the series 7.
Yeah, totally. Like, well, okay, so actually this brings me back to another point you made was about like doing a Substack. I feel like too many people feel like Substacks or Medium blogs, like they're pissing in the wind. Like they're like, I'm just talking to nobody and I do think that what people don't realize in those moments is that content is like an asset, and it's not about the day it releases. It's about every day for the next 10 years that when people Google it, it's cached with SEO and people will eventually find it, especially if you. So what would be your thought on, because I love what you're saying. It's like you're building in silence and then suddenly the success brings like the noise. Um, what would you say to people that they want to be strategic, right? Like they don't want to just post like, I would say go on LinkedIn. It sounds like maybe Substack is a move. Definitely looking at competitors, looking at people who are doing well. Um, I made a list. I was like, I want to do a TED Talk. I want to be in Wall Street Journal. And then I remember thinking, who in my niche has done that? And I looked them up. And then I saw all the other media logos they had. And I'm like, let me go for some of the smaller ones. Like, because you can kind of create that avalanche effect of like, okay, I just got these three dinky little doodles. Now I can get this bigger piece of cake. And
That's
then,
true.
yeah, yeah, it's like an avalanche. I used to have a module in my business course called Build a Press Avalanche.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's all it is. But um I kind of going back to my question of like the email, because I know that a lot of people are so tactical when they're listening. They're like, okay, cool, subject line, hook. Um, how long do you make it? How much do you introduce about yourself? And like, do you put any bullet points in there? Like, what would be your advice for somebody that's crafting their first pitch email and they're about to spray and pray to many places?
I think it depends on the type of brand you have. So if you are more of just like a thought leadership or you have like an agency or something, you're going to want to like speak. Like that needs to be more hooky. That needs to be more story driven. But if you're like a company, you can put more information in the email because those reporters are going to want like they're not going to want to have to go and search around who
Mm.
are you, what year you want to include like when were you founded? What makes you even credible? Like, do you have any like notability markers that are like, oh, hey, I just made the Inc. 5000, or I just did that, or our revenue is X number. This is how many employees we have, and this is why I can intelligently speak on like navigating difficult HR issues.
Yeah,
Or like you can provide that context. So it really depends on like the publication, who you're pitching, of how much like how much information should be in your email.
yeah,
Now, if you're pitching podcasts, look at what the podcast like if you're pitching you, Ashley, like look at the subject lines that you've had. And also you had to realize who your host is. So sometimes you can't just like pitch the host. You
yeah,
need to really like go out of your way to develop a relationship with them, even if that's like consistently like interacting with them on social, supporting their business by sharing their episodes. Like you need to like be actively engaged with people. There's other podcasts where they just go through like booking talent companies, or they just have a booker.
yeah,
If that's the case, give the episode titles that match how their podcast is already.
yeah. And
Like
like,
the same exact format.
yeah, I think the hack for getting booked for a lot of is good stuff is actually having something to say. And the thing about that is that people all do, they just don't know what it is. And that's why at Wise Whisper, I'm always talking about original thinking. Where do you have original thinking? Where are you saying it differently? The reality is, people who've been in their career for 20 years usually will only have two, three, or four very original thoughts about things. And it's because over time, you look at the landscape of your life, the landscape of your career, the landscape of the business you're in, and you have like a very unique thought. And so I think the deeper work that people aren't doing, and I don't know where to advise them to go because this is something unique we do with clients for, you know, this, that, and the other thing for TED Talks or keynotes or whatever we're helping with, is we put creative directors on to help them pull that out. I'm wondering, like, maybe it's about asking clients or customers or friends, what have I said that like has really landed for you? Starting to get a little more curious about what you're saying that's sticking with people. Because when I wrote my TED Talk, I thought about like, okay, this is a talk about clarity. What have my career coaching clients been in like shock and awe about that I've said to them they've told me like this is what moved it for me? Those are my talking points. So I don't know if you have any thoughts there before we go. I know I'm like a few minutes left and I really want to get it in.
I do have some thoughts on that. I think sometimes people do not like are not able to like know what those answers are. And even then, if you go back to your clients or your family and you're like, what if it's like they kind of draw a blank too. And they're like, oh, we're good at this. An exercise that I think has been helpful for me personally, and then also other people, is like sit down and think about all the people in your life that you would like kind of give advice to be like, I don't know, like be, especially ones that might be like kind of rubbing you the wrong way, or you're seeing them do something, be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing you do. Da, 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 da. Write this down and start reflecting on it. And then you're going to start seeing like your original thinking because it's to a person. So really write that person like, hey, I see you sabotaging. I've seen you do this for 5 years now. We're still in the same cycle.
Yeah.
Like, here's where you spend all your time, and this is why you're not where you want to be. And like go down into it. And as you keep like, you're gonna start to see, then those can turn into stories. Like,
Right.
here's 5 reasons why like this cycle is not, because if it's happening for one person, it's happening for a lot of others too. But that can be a good exercise for someone who isn't able to like be as or feel, I'm kind of like that. It's hard for me to be like, if they're like, what advice would you give? I'm like, on what? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's helpful. I am like, I love talking about what you're doing because like I don't play with that part of your brain as often when I'm with you. I'm like, what's going on? Like I
I
track other things.
know.
If there's like one thing you could say before we go to everybody who's thinking about starting their brand, doing PR, obviously my thing to tell all y'all is go to Danielle at Society22 if you're really ready to invest in your brand, like you have a business. But what would be your thing that you would want people to know?
I think right now with AI, it's very important. I don't care if you are like a freelancer or you have like a whole entire business, like you need to start treating your brand and yourself as if you were like a big company, and like you need to be focusing on like your content and your PR stuff, even if you're doing it yourself, because the way search is changing in general is completely transforming how we're doing business. Half my leads from my website that come in organically are coming from ChatGPT.
Mm, mm,
So don't pass it off, like get involved, invest this time. I mean, I'm even investing my own time. Spend like at least 2 to 3 hours a day creating content, doing my PR stuff. Like I have a million other things going on. I have an entire team, a whole agency to run, but like it is so important. Like don't hand it off to like some VA somewhere. Don't like really get involved in it and be a co-creator in this process, whether you're working with an agency or if you're doing it yourself. Like this is just as important as it is for you to be like, servicing your clients.
I love
Because
that.
when this changes, I know we might like have a really hard time. Like it's kind of like when social media happened and the internet and businesses were like, well, I don't need to go on there. And then now all of a sudden you have all these businesses that have like kind of dried up and it's like hard. There's been competitors that pop up. Like don't take anything right now for granted and get yourself and your company out there as many places as possible. And that product story I told you about with Walmart, that was done on a Medium account that we had started,
Mm,
brand new, no followers on there. We did our own content series on it. And the product manager of Walmart, that's like somebody from QVC finding your product and putting you on QVC.
mm,
So
mm,
like don't underestimate the publication. Don't like if you're new to PR, you get in, I don't care. You go on every podcast that says yes to you because you need the practice. I don't care if they have one listener. I don't even care if they have any. You
mm,
need the practice.
mm,
Right for, like just contribute to anything and everything you can possibly contribute to.
mm, mm. Thank you so much for coming on and just love you.
Love you too. This is great.
And everybody check out Society22 PR. Um, just learn from Danielle, follow her. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions,
Head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we can help you craft your greatest talk of your life, how we can help you get booked on some of the biggest stages in the world, even the TED or TEDx stage. We'd love to hear from you, and that's it for this week.
Trying to solve, always think you know it. I've been thinking about you up against that wall. It's too late, I fell on every fall. Holding ground, no hurts. I'm holding ground, no hurts. Holding ground, no hurts. Late night drive, what you trying to do tonight? I swear you don't even try, yeah, you still stupid. I can try and make you mine, but I don't think you like guys. I don't think you like guys. I don't think I should try. I guess it's time to give up, but I